My brain sucks sometimes and feel seen by it and feel understood. 6th or 7th grade. This video is probably going to be a long one, so definitely grab a snack and buckle in because I am going to be very rambly today. Sit back and enjoy, I guess. How do I start this video? I don't actually know. The last couple weeks, I have really been struggling with mental health and with anxiety. Yeah, I've just been struggling really bad, practically having breakdowns like every other night. Last night was so bad, and just in the thick of it, I was like, I really need to talk about this on my channel. When I was in the thick of my anxiety when I was younger, the main thing that helped me was knowing that there were other people out there that experienced similar things, and I wasn't alone, and I wasn't like an odd one out with my brain. So it's very important for me to talk about this on this channel, and I've just never done like a super sit down video and only spoken about it, if that makes sense. So that's what I am deciding to do today. Hopefully it can make me feel better, it can make you feel better, we can have a little symbiotic exchange. Yeah, I kind of want to talk about some symptoms, I want to talk about my experience with it, and I also want to talk about ways that I've been making it better or trying to make it better. But obviously, like, I'm in a struggle moment right now. It ebbs and it flows, but I have conquered things that I never thought I would be able to conquer with anxiety, and so I feel like this is a good time to talk about it. Obviously, I'm getting like stress breakouts, so don't comment on my little pimple patch, please. But yeah, the last couple weeks have been really, really rough. I feel like I'm constantly on the verge of like a panic attack, and I'm gonna try not to cry today. I literally cried all day yesterday, so hopefully there's no tears. But this is a very sensitive topic, and it is something that I still hold a lot of shame and embarrassment around, even though when other people say they have anxiety, I'm not like, oh my god, you should be so embarrassed. But when it comes to me, I'm like, I'm so embarrassed. I don't know what else to say. So yeah, I felt like I'm on the verge of a panic attack all the time. If you have anxiety, you'll know there's like this feeling in your body where like you just get hot flashes and you feel kind of claustrophobic just in your brain. And I've been feeling that super duper heavy, and my body is constantly in fight or flight. I think that is something that a lot of people who don't experience anxiety will not understand, that my body feels like it's incapable of relaxing and like just feeling safe. Why am I gonna cry already? I'm literally about to cry because that is really sad, and I'm disappointed that my body can't do that. And I think recently I've been really getting into manifestation and positivity, and I've been trying my best to create a life that I am happy in. I feel like I have potential OCD too, like we could talk about that later, but those things have really been battling the positivity, and I feel like because it knows I'm trying to change it, like it's digging its heels in and really doing its best to make me absolutely hate myself. And this is not meant to be like a poor me thing, but like I said, so many people deal with this, but it's just a really hard thing to talk about. So yeah, I've been feeling really down. I've been feeling really anxious. It's hard to manifest and be happy and like do all the things that I want to do when my body just feels scared all the freaking time. In general, I've had a very large uptick in intrusive thoughts ever since my accident. I think my brain kind of took that as confirmation bias. It needs to tell me really bad things so that it can like protect me. That's another reason that I feel like my brain can just never feel safe and calm, which is so frustrating. Like that is probably one of the most frustrating parts. Intrusive thoughts are the thing that I'm probably most embarrassed about, because anxiety is such a thing now that people are much more open with talking about it. I knew I was gonna be weirded out talking about this, but I didn't realize how weirded out I was gonna be. My brain, like if I'm trying to be positive and I'm trying to think of like that dream that I have, my brain will literally think the exact opposite and like show me why I don't deserve that, or why that's not capable for me, or why it's dangerous. I just sat down last night and I just like begged my brain to stop because it is so mentally exhausting. I've dealt with anxiety pretty much my entire life. I remember being in preschool having like very scary thoughts and being very nervous, and just kind of continually got worse as I got older. I probably had my first panic attack in like 6th or 7th grade. Never let me do that ever again. Never let me do that ever again. I had my first panic attack in a middle school bathroom, and I remember it clear as day, sadly. And ever since then, like I said, it ebbs and flows out of my life, but it's never like gone. How do I word this? It's very easy when you have mental struggles to make that like part of your identity, because I've had it for so long, because, you know, the people in my life closest to me know that that is a huge part of me, which sucks. And I hate that that's like a part of my identity, is being anxious and like having difficulties with certain things with my brain. And you feel so tied to it. Like you can never break away from that negativity and break away from that fear. I was watching a podcast the other day and I thought this was very interesting. But basically, if you have intrusive thoughts or like really intense anxiety, your brain becomes addicted to fear and to those feelings. And even if you are not consciously doing it, or like, I don't want to be doing those things, my brain just comes back to it every time. I feel like when I try to starve my brain of those feelings, they come back tenfold. Maybe the reason that I'm dealing with it really bad right now is because I'm trying to get rid of it. And so often, like, I imagine what life would look like if I didn't have my brain getting in the way of everything. That's gonna make me emotional, because like, I can't even get it out. I just imagine all of the things that I could do in my life if my brain wasn't telling me that I wasn't capable of them and I wasn't worthy of them. What is happening? I'm telling you, I literally cried for like 5 hours last night. I don't know how my body is producing anymore. Literally like hyperventilating, sobbing. So how is this happening? I feel like a lot of people will relate to that, of just like longing and mourning a life that your brain works with you instead of against you. I feel for the younger version of myself that had to deal with that and had to feel so different and so broken in comparison to other people, and I felt so like lonely, which is why I'm making this video, because I don't want people to ever feel that way. I had no one that I could relate to, and that's what made me turn to YouTube quite a bit, because I could finally find people who were similar to me and understood what I was going through, believed that it was a real thing and not just something that I was making up, being dramatic. Yeah, it just sucks. My brain sucks sometimes. I want people to see this and feel seen by it and feel understood and know that there are people out there who are struggling with similar. That's kind of my experience with anxiety recently and in my whole life. I think people don't understand how deep anxiety goes and how serious it can feel. And it's not necessarily just something that it's like, oh, I get anxious when I speak in public, which I 100% would too. But it affects so much more than what I think a lot of people think it does. I feel like I'm fighting with myself to just be baseline. You know what I mean? Like I'm not asking to be the most confident, most outgoing person ever, because that's just not who I am. Don't want to be the center of attention. Like I'm fine with just being normal, you know? Is this the most cringe video I've ever posted? Probably. Am I gonna edit this and think that I'm such an idiot? Probably. I'm sweating so bad and I can't tell if it's from my sweatshirt or talking about this. In the grand scheme of things, I have made so much progress in my anxiety from even like 6 months ago. I am proud of the progress that I have made. I didn't go to my first concert until I was in my 20s, and I didn't like driving, but I am doing things that I never thought that I would, and I am so proud of myself. I feel like the first thing is having people that understand and will support you. Obviously, that can't always be in our real lives, and like I said, like when I was a teenager, nobody understood my brain. Nobody took me seriously when I tried to be vulnerable. I am so grateful for the YouTubers that I watched back then that would speak about their struggles and would speak about the things that they were really dealing with, because it made such a difference. I'm trying to think of other tips that I have learned, but I think that this is a good video, not just to talk vulnerably, but also to look back in the future and know that things get better. Sometimes when you're in a really deep negative headspace, it feels like you're stuck forever and ever and ever. And I feel this way every time I'm in an anxious cycle. But I feel like it is so important to remind yourself that things get better. Remind yourself that it does ebb and flow, and life is going to get better. That is like the main crux of this video, is I just want to not just remind you guys, but remind myself. So I also highly recommend one thing that has changed my anxiety, is if you don't feel comfortable talking about it with other people, like in your real life, which I definitely don't. I struggle with being emotional around people, and this tends to bring up a lot of emotions. I still highly recommend to talk it out. You can talk it out in a journal, you can talk it out with a close friend, you can even just sit and talk like I'm doing to a camera. That's what I do every single time that I'm feeling a panic attack. That really intense feeling, I will sit and let myself talk and complain and vent and rant for absolutely as long as I need to. And I would say 99% of the time, by the end of spilling my guts all about things that I'm dealing with and the things that I am frustrated with or hate about myself, I feel so much better at the end. Like, it's just truly a weight release. I don't know how it works, but somehow at the end of all of them, I just feel really good. Well, I wouldn't say really good, but much better than when I started. Obviously, at the beginning of this video, I was like crying and I could barely get a sentence out. And now I feel much more clear and hopeful. If you have any questions about anxiety, or if you just want to unload in the comments a little bit, that's totally fine. If you know someone who could be struggling with this, definitely send it their way. Hopefully it can help in some way. Maybe in the future we can talk more about this because it is so important. I hope that this can be a representation that like kind of did our trauma dump here today, and we can move forward on this channel. And I'm sure there are going to be more anxious moments in the future. There are going to be moments that feel really scary, but together we can get through them and we can get happy again. Thank you so much for listening to this whole thing. If you have gotten to the end, this is such a key part in my personal mental health journey, and it feels very full circle that I'm sitting here talking about anxiety when that was like the cornerstone of me growing up. I love you all so much. If you're struggling, you're not alone. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye guys. I love you. This was quite the video.